start with the bell ringer. First thing I do is subtract 27 from both sides. So I have x squared plus 6x minus 27 equal to 0. How do I factor that? Okay, perfect. So I need two things that add to 6 and multiply to negative 27. 9 minus 3 adds to 6. 9 times 3 gets you to negative 27. So it is x plus 9 and x minus 3. I had someone in first period tell me the solution then. So the answer is x equal to negative 9 and x equal to positive 3. And that would be correct if it said factor and solve. But all it says is factor. So this is where we're going to stop. Okay, we talked about two types of area on Friday. One was lateral. Can someone tell me what lateral means? What was our shortcut word? Label. So we're finding the label on something. It goes around it. It does not include the top and the bottom. It does not include those. What are the top and the bottom called? Bases. It does not include those bases. Okay, and then the surface area is the whole shebang. It includes those bases. I need help, so only test on Friday. You will be handed this. So if Faith can ID she's been given a prism and she needs to find the lateral area, it should be an easy plug and chug if she can identify the shape correctly and if she knows what the little letters mean in each formula. So that's what I want to review now. I'm only going to talk about prisms because cylinders are pretty much the same except they involve pi and radius because pi and r. Okay, with a prism we had lateral equal to P and H. What was the P and what was the H? Okay, I'm going to need you to be more specific. Perimeter of what? Of the base. And then what was the H for?
Length coming connecting the base.
It is, but she is correct. It is the length connecting the bases. Okay, Nick, can you hand me your notes from last Friday? That one with the soup can. Yep, that's the one. Okay, the reason you need to make that certain note about the H being the length connecting the bases is because we worked a problem last week where the height, the length connecting the bases, was 10. But a lot of people are very tempted to put 8 instead. Okay, and then our second formula, I will take it and hold it and keep it. I would put it away. Our second formula is L plus 2B. What is the L and what is the B?
The lateral area. And the B is
Perfect. The area of the base. Okay, I get that Danny knows what those formulas mean, but if you don't know those letters and you're handed those formulas on Friday, they will do nothing for you. You have got to know what each letter means in the formula. Otherwise, this chapter is fairly easy. It's mostly plug and chug. Mostly you plug the numbers in, you get the number out. Occasionally you have to solve the right triangle, but if Skylar can identify the right formula and try to plug in the right pieces, I can give her most of her points. Okay, as for your yellow handout, let's add to it. We have our yellow handout from last week. I want to add, apparently we're talking about the learning target, so we're talking about pyramids and cones today. How far down is the cone? Okay, what makes a cone different from a cylinder? Okay, it only has the one circle base, agreed.
It has the top of the triangle.
Okay, what would that be called? Okay, and then if we had to describe a pyramid, what would you describe it? What would you use? I'm going to say a rectangular base, but it doesn't have to be that way. It just can't be a circle. And it tends to be a square base. That is true. In fact, if you want to change that to square, it can be. There can be a hexagonal, like there are different kinds of pyramids, but you're going to be happy to know all we're going to deal with is the square ones. There's a reason for that. Okay, and then we should also add what other word? Vertex. We should add that word, vertex. Its faces are triangles. I guess I should add all of that. What I'm going to actually do, because I'm thinking ahead, now that I've already done this one class period, I'm going to color on this. So normally I like to color in the bases. So I understand that is the circle base. That is the square base. But I'm also going to color on the side. And we'll learn about that in a few minutes. It's called the slant height, and we need it. Okay, and I know this is really, really silly, and I'm sure Trey knows the difference. But there's probably someone in the room who doesn't, so we need to discuss it all anyway. So again, a cylinder has two bases, the top and the bottom. It doesn't meet at a point. A cone meets at that top point called a vertex. But otherwise, cylinders and cones are similar because they both have circle bases. Circle, circle. Meanwhile, prisms and pyramids are similar because they don't have circle bases. But a pyramid meets at that point, that vertex, and a prism does not. It has two bases. Again, if Sydney can't ID which shape is which, she's going, even though she's handed the formulas, she's going to pick the wrong formula. Okay, what shape are we clearly going to talk about tomorrow? A sphere. Are there any questions about our yellow handout? You don't get to use it on the test, but my gosh, I thought it'd be useful to study. Maybe you're geniuses. I really don't know. Okay, as for today, we're doing pyramids and cones. I'm not going to read to you. If you want to read the description and add more to your yellow sheet, that's a great idea. I'm going to just rush through the whole thing so we can give you some time to practice. A pyramid has a polygon base. Again, it doesn't have to be a square. We're only going to deal with regular pyramids, so we're only going to have square-based pyramids, but there are other kinds. Okay, the formula we need looks really similar to the ones we've been using because it's got the 1/2 and the P, and the P is still for the perimeter of the base. But the new thing is this cursive L. That cursive L in the formula stands for the slant height. And that's what I was coloring on my yellow handout, and I'll color it here. It's actually on one of the faces. So I get my Eiffel Tower is not a perfect pyramid. I get that. But in theory, the slant height is actually on one of the sides that I'm touching. It's not the number going straight up and down the middle of it. No, it's actually on one of the faces. We're normally going to have to solve for it. Our first two are really nice. We don't have to solve. But normally we're going to have to use a right triangle and solve for that slanted height. Okay, so our first one says L equals 1/2 P and then the slanted height. What number should I plug in for that slanted height? 5. It is 5. So I plug in my 5. Okay, and then I need to know the perimeter of my base. What is the perimeter of my base? Well, I get one side is 2.5, but the perimeter is 10. because there's 4 sides, so 2.5 times 4 is 10, so my perimeter is 10. So what number do I get from my lateral area? It's 25 centimeters squared. Okay, does everyone understand where my 5 came from? And my 10, again, is the perimeter of my base. So you can do 2.5 plus 2.5. You could do that 4 times, or you can just do 2.5 times 4. Are there any questions about that one? The next one is very similar. So 1/2 PL, 1/2, I need to know the perimeter of my base. It is 16 because it's a square base. So 4 times 4, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, that is 16. And then what number should I plug in for my slant height? It is 8. So I plug it straight in. So 1/2, 16 times 8, I end up getting, okay, I end up getting 64 inches squared. Perfect. Okay, are there any questions about the lateral area for a pyramid? Okay, well, the surface area formula looks very similar. Very similar. In that, last week we were doing S equals L plus 2B. But today ours is S equals L plus B. Because this and L are the same thing. They're the same thing. Someone explain to me why it's just B and not 2B today. We only have the one base. There aren't 2 bases. So again, if Sydney's not identifying the shape correctly, she's going to try to use the formula with 2 bases. Her picture only has 1 base. Okay, so let me highlight that. Remind me again what B is for. The area of the base. So we need to find the perimeter of the base and the area of the base. So my formula, S equals 1/2 TL plus B. I've got to find 3 numbers to plug in. The P, the L, and the B. But again, I'm given a square. That does make life a little easier. So what is the perimeter of my square?
32.
Yes, because 8 times 4 is 32. Are there any questions about why my perimeter is 32? Okay, and then I also need to know the area of the base. Well, my base is a square, so it's going to be base times height. My base is 8. My height is 8. So it ends up being 8 times 8 to find the area of that whole thing, which is 64. So I know my area of the base is 64. Are there any questions about how I got the 32 or the 64? Okay. Faith does a great job of this, so I can think on Faith. Faith is going to show me all of her work. She's going to show me where she tried to do the perimeter, she tried to do the area, and she's about to try to solve for the slanted height. And that's how Faith gets all her points, because she shows me her work. So let's say she plugs in the wrong number here. That's okay. I can't count off much for that. But if Faith suddenly changes in the next 3 days, or for whatever, by Friday, and all of a sudden she pulls numbers out of thin air and doesn't show me any work, it's hard for me to give her points, because I need to know. I don't know where she messed up. She didn't show her work. She messed up with the perimeter, with the area, or with the slanted height. I don't know. Okay, we have a problem because we don't know the number on the slanted height. But, as always in geometry class, I see a right triangle. So I'm going to draw it down here. There is a right triangle. We need to know the number on the hypotenuse. We know it is 6 meters tall, and it's labeled that it's 4 meters on that bottom. Sadly, it is not a triple. How do I solve if it is not a triple? Okay, so I have to actually use 4 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. I have someone in the room who has forgotten that the hypotenuse is always the number across from that 90-degree angle. Okay, so 16 plus 36 equals x squared. 52 equals x squared. So I get the square root of 52 equal to x. If you would like to put that decimal in, you can. It's like, it's more than 7 but less than 8. You can do 7.2 if you want to. Or you can literally plug in square root of 52. If Faith has this, and then it gets the wrong decimal on the next line, I take off maybe a point. Because, my gosh, that means she just had a typo. It doesn't mean she can't do math. Okay, you type that whole thing in your calculator, and you get... Yes, you get 179 point what? I thought it was 0.4. Oh, did you plug in the 52 or the 7.2? Okay, I got 179.4, but if you got 179.2, I'm going to give you your points. You think I'm a mean grader, and I'm actually the nicest grader that ever was. As long as you showed me what you were thinking. Okay, are there any questions about, of course, the one that's complicated we had to solve for the slanted height? Are there any questions about example A here? 2A. Well, 2B is just as annoying. In fact, 2B is possibly more annoying. So let's look at 2B. I'm going to use the same formula. 1/2 PL plus B. I need to first know the perimeter. So for the perimeter, I see it's a square again. There are 4 sides, so 6 times 4, it is 24. I need to know the area, but it's still base times height. So I do 6 times 6, and I get 36. Are there any questions about where the 24 or the 36 came from? And then, super annoying again, we have to solve for that slanted height. We were not given that number. We need to solve for it. I see again I have a right triangle. But what's annoying is they didn't really label this one as well as they did the last one. So I see I have a right triangle. I still need to know that number on the hypotenuse. I see that it's 8 inches tall, but I don't know what number to put at the bottom. Does anyone know what number to put at the bottom of the triangle? It is 3. Okay, this point, this altitude, is happening directly in the middle. So if it was 6 all the way across, halfway in between would be 3. 3 and 3. And if we look at the last one, it's still the same logic. They told us 4, but that makes sense because 4 to here, and then 4 more to the other edge. 4 plus 4 is 8. It makes sense. It's halfway. And even more annoying, this is not a triple again. So we have to use Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. You know me. I'm going to make one of them a triple. 73 equals x squared. Square root of 73 equals x. So you can type in that decimal, which is somewhere between 8 and 9. Or you can just plug in square root of 73. You type this entire line into your calculator. And you get something, and we're going to make it all inches. 138 point what? Yeah, I got 138.5. Okay, did you get 138? Something or other? Okay. If you have 138, you know I'm going to give it to you. I'm only going to start counting off if Eric reads the round to the nearest tenth and then he purposely doesn't round to the nearest tenth. That's the only issue I have. Are there any questions about these pyramids? flip over to the back. I'm doing you a disservice because, yes, ma'am. Oh, it's a typo. I changed it all to inches. It's a typo. It should all be inches. We're not going to do conversions too. That'd be a bit much. Conversions and no. Okay, I'm doing you a disservice because we are not going to, so it just has to be a regular polygon. So it could be a regular pentagon, a regular hexagon, a regular whatever. However, we're not going to do them. We're not going to do anything except pyramids with square bases. Because this would require you to find the area of the hexagon and find the area of that complicated base shape. We've not done area of a hexagon. That's really sad that we haven't talked about that in geometry, but we haven't. So we got to let that go. Now for the cones. The cones are possibly the easiest yet because we know all the words. We know pi, we know r, and the L is still the slanted height. In fact, cones are so easy, they give you both formulas at once. This first part of the surface area formula is for the lateral. Pi r squared, what formula is that? Yeah, so it's the area of a circle. But isn't our circle our base? So it's still really the same formula. It's still L plus B. It's still find the lateral area and then find the area of the base. They've just spelled it out for you. But as long as Alex can ID he's been given a cone, he's got L equals pi r L on his little handout. Just plugging and checking. Okay, so the slanted height on a cone is like the slanted height on a pyramid. It's actually on the face. So it's here or here. It's not the number going straight up and down. In fact, that number going straight up and down is called an altitude. Do you have to know that vocab term to pass my next test? No. All you need to know is if you're not given the number on the side of the cone, like the part you would eat, if you're given a number that would be cutting through air on an actual cone, then you are in trouble and you need to solve that triangle. Okay, you can either have a right cone, like a normal ice cream cone, or one that came out oblique, so it's just off because things aren't perfect sometimes. What's really annoying is the two examples aren't drawn with pictures, but if I take Nick's worksheet, Nick, where's your worksheet? Nick's worksheet, the ones on his worksheet, all the pictures are drawn for us. That's the good news. The bad news is if I were to tell Nick which ones to put a star by, because he's going to need the Pythagorean theorem, he would have to put a star by them all. Because he's going to have to solve on all of them. He's not given the slanted height on number 1. He's not given the slanted height on number 2 or 4. He is given the slanted height on 3, but he's not given the radius. But if Nick pays careful attention, Miss Compton made the worksheet, so she put in some triples and stuff that should make life a little easier. So annoying is that we actually have to draw our cones on this one. So I'm drawing my cone. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm told the altitude, which is the number cutting all the way through the cone, is 8 inches. And then I need to know the radius of my cone. What is the radius? Okay, bless you. People are still getting diameter, which is the whole length, and it's 2.5, confused with the radius, which would be half of that, which would be 1.25. So if we're asked to find the lateral area, it's pi r L. For the r, I should plug in 1.25. Now I'm super annoyed because I have to solve for the L. I do not know this number, but I see this right triangle with a 1.25, an 8, and the number I need to know. So for the bajillionth time today, I have to do 8 squared plus 1.25 squared equal to x squared. I don't know what 1.25 squared is. I probably should. is what?
It's 1.56 times
1.56, okay, and then so that would be 65.56 equal to x squared. So I need the square root of 65.56 equal to x. So my L is that. But if RJ doesn't like typing in all that into his calculator, can he go ahead and find that decimal? It's like 8 point something, because 8.1. So he can instead do pi times 1.25 times 8.1 to get his final answer. I do not care what RJ does, as long as RJ shows his work. You type in the whole thing and you get 81. And it didn't say what's round to, so let's go with that. He got 31.81. You didn't get 31.81?
No.
I got 10.31.
Okay. You did 3 times 1 times 8. It's going to be higher than 24. Okay. Okay, I rushed through that one because I think cones are easier. Is there anyone who needs me to say my words again on the cones? Okay, and the next one, again, what's the lateral area? So I'll draw my picture. Here's my cone. My altitude is 6. My diameter is 4, so my radius would then be 2. But I swear to you, the ones on the test and the ones on your worksheet and on your study guide are drawn for you. Had I realized the note ones weren't drawn for you, I would have fixed it. But like you, I am tired. Okay, my radius is 2 because my diameter was 4. I need to find the L because I don't know that. Someone please tell me how to set up the Pythagorean theorem. Thank you. So 2, 6, and x, I'm going to do 2 squared plus 6 squared equals to x squared. So I have 4 plus 36 equal to x squared. So I end up needing to know the square root of 40. 6 point what?
6.3.
So he told me that's 6.3. So instead of plugging in square root of 40, if you'd rather plug in 6.3, that makes sense to me. 12.6 times 3.14 is 36.7. What'd you get as your final number? 8? 5.8? Somebody else who doesn't sound like that's a bad answer. It probably says nearest tenth on the test, so it probably is supposed to be 39.6. Nick is correct. If I know me, I put tenth. But again, if Nick has this line, God forbid he not get this line, I'm going to take off 1 point. It's a calculator error. If Nick has this line, that shows me he understood what to do. He did it all. Okay, I talked way too fast, and you have lots of time to work on your worksheet. Your worksheet is due on Friday. You know eventually there's going to be a study guide also due on Friday. So you ought to get all the junk done because Friday will be here before you know it.